Check 1 2. There it is. There's the audio. Okay. Well, hopefully it's showing up on YouTube. I don't know if anybody can go check the audio and just double check that we are still getting good audio and good video. But based on what I'm seeing here on OBS, it looks to be okay. So what do we have? It's Friday, July 28th, 2023, and Apple's on highs. And interesting open session here today. Everything flying up, especially this, where is it? Meta. I thought this was a very interesting one. Just taking a second to look at what moved in the equities markets before we jump into the coding questions. But this Meta had a first day earnings yesterday, sold off. Big pop on earnings day. I think it went from like 290 up to almost to 330 the day of earnings. And then yesterday we were trading it to the short side. They were selling it, and today they found a bid down in the teens, and shortly after the opening bell, it just started making its way higher. I was trying to get into this thing at 317s, at 317.50s, 318s. I could not get a pullback in and was unable to get anything on in this, which is unfortunate because it did run. The other one that I was trying to get into was this Tesla, and I was looking for it to go to 264, and I was trying to, where was I trying to pick it up at? I was on a different time bar time. I was down here, down at 260, and it just never returned down here. And I think I only chased this up once and did not catch it, but it went pretty nicely. Now returning back and completely different trade. So Roku also. Holy moly, look at that. Let's do this. Roku. Roku. What a move. I completely missed this. Let me set this on my watch list for next week in case there's a second day play. Carvana at lows. Look at the drive on that. I wonder, what did the first few minutes look like? Let's go back. Very strong opening drive, barely any pullback. Didn't even come back to this middle node or this big node down here. It just kept on going. What a drive. I bet that thing was pretty widespread, just given the fact that it's averaging a 5 to 15 cent spread right now. That looked like it would have been a wild ride, but very nice opening drive. Roku, big strong move, 22% up on the day. Carvana hitting lows. I'll just set a 41 low a day just in case that gets interesting. Yeah, that Roku looked tricky. I don't really blame you for that. Okay, well let's pack this in from this standpoint right now and take a look. Hey Ahmed's got a question. How do I make a mouse input like ECI V-WAP? I'm not even sure what that means. What is ECI V-WAP? Anchor. I have no idea what that even means. Is that a Sierra chart built in? Let me pull this guy up. And actually, I can just do this and make this full screen. And we can just call this, where's the one next to me? Right there. I'll just call this coding stream. So you can add it to the chart. So the question is, let me just take a screenshot of the question because that makes it easier afterwards. The question is this: how do you make a mouse input like ECI, V-WAP, Anchor? it's something about pointer events. You can add it to the chart. Okay, let me take a look. Actually, let me just make a new chart book and add a new historical chart for most of you guys are ES, right? So I'll just use the ES and we'll do this. Okay, so you want me to go to here and it's called OCI. What is it called? ECI. ECI. I do not see this in the built-in. I do not see it at all in the built-in studies.
It's in add custom study.
Oh, it's a custom study? Is it in here? Oh, I've never really played in here. Is it one of these guys? ECI. EMA. User contributed studies? Okay. That's down here. ECI. ECI V-WAP anchor. I have no idea what this is. Let's just put it on the chart. I don't see anything. Right click on any bar. Okay. Anchor VWAP. Holy cow, look at that. That's pretty. That's pretty neat. What is that actually doing? I've never seen that kind of functionality before. That's kind of cool. It looks like it is starting a VWAP based off of the bar that I selected. Is that what that's doing? Uh-huh. Interesting. This is the VWAP from this bar. That's cool. So your question is, and Cha is kind of helping me along here. How to use pointer events with within ACSIL. So let's go ahead and you see that link that he posted here. This link right here, receiving pointer events. So in order to have Sierra be able to know where the mouse cursor is, there's a couple things you need to actually do. And yeah, here it is. You need to, and I haven't worked with this recently. I do have a study that I did implement this for like hovering over market depth sizes, and I would be able to like see what the market depth was at that point in time. It was like my own um, implementation of market depth historical, whatever, uh, historical graph. But you have to turn this on, and then, yeah, this gets set to basically one of these modes. So this one is basically turned off. This one is being able to toggle it via some kind of button that you maybe added to a control bar. And then this guy is, I think, the one that I used, which is always have the study know where your cursor is. Um, oh, and it looks like there's another one right here. There's a fourth one that you can set that's right here. So um, I've never done anything with menus, but I have used this right here. This is where you detect a pointer event type of type move, and then basically I'd check to see if the cursor was sitting over a bar index that I wanted to. Let me show you. Oh, actually, hold on. I think I have this study still in here. I think no, it's not in user submitted. What is it called? It's called market depth. Yeah. What did I call it? Market. It's like market depth combined or something. This guy. Select chart to read market depth from. How about this one? And yeah, that's fine. Um, oh, this is a daily. Let me put a 5 minute on. Or some kind of intraday just so that so that we can see it. Might have to open up that code because I don't actually remember exactly how I built it. This apparently I have many days worth of stuff loaded in here. Let me kill this because this is going to take forever to load, and I'll put a shorter amount of time. And Sierra is freezing when I tried to cancel. But while we wait for that to do its thing, okay, F5, data limiting. I don't want 30 days. Let's do 3 days. It's downloading market depth data. While that goes on, yeah, so I can grep price, or is it just the index? So the index is going to be, the bar index is going to be your x-axis, right? So let me take this ECI V-WAP anchor off because I think your question is actually more about the market depth rather than. So like you can see, this is actually the live market depth. Sierra is freezing up on me. I wonder if it's because I haven't used market depth in a while. I wonder if it's just trying to download a bunch of depth data. I can see it in the message window trying to download a bunch of depth data. And I don't have market depth historical graph here either. But I used to run this. Oh, here it is showing up. You see this that just showed up? So it's trying to draw the various market depths as it's reading through the historical graph. So I had built a thing for stocks where, because the stock feed in Sierra, the NQTV feed has market depth, but it does not have full volume being transacted on that feed. Whereas the main feed, which used to be bar chart and is now the consolidated tape feed, does not have any market depth data available. So if you wanted to see market depth on a stock, you actually had to have the NQTV feed up at the same time as you had the other feed up. I didn't want that, so I made this study to copy the market depth data from the NQTV feed and draw it on top of the non-NQTV feed, which I think somebody was talking about yesterday. I don't know how to do that, but this is running on ES, which has market depth included in the feed, and it's super lagged right now. But you can see when I moved my mouse over it, it shown the depth that was being advertised at 4600 at this time at 9 something in the morning earlier. So before I crash Sierra, let's take a look at how I actually did that because I don't actually remember. And let me just shut or turn off this chart book because this thing is like seriously having a real tough time trying to do this market depth right now. Okay, let's open up Vim, which is also struggling. My whole machine is struggling. I'm trying to get that market depth off. There we go. I think I got it. Yep, I got it. Okay. Here's Vim. Um, let's take a look. Let's split this, and let's go ahead and open market depth combined, and let's look at pointer events. How did I do this? So the first thing, it looks like you want to set receive pointer events equal to 1, and this is being done in the SC defaults. So I'm going to just put this here so that you can kind of have this later to. So in your in SC defaults code block, you want to have this on. Secondly, let's see where else this is used. Pointer, that's the only place that's used. Okay, is there something about mouse in here? What about cursor? What about receive? Receive. No, nothing at all. What about pointer move? Nothing. Interesting. Okay, I don't know where it is then. Okay, let's do it from the documentation. Screw it. We'll do it from the documentation directly, which is probably the best way anyways. Um, so let's read through this together. An advanced custom study on a chart can receive pointer events. Here are the different pointer event types that you can receive. You can receive a pointer down, a mouse move, or a pointer up. So this is clicking down. This is you've clicked down and now you're letting go. In other words, it's the up stroke of your mouse of your finger off the mouse button, and this is just your mouse moved over a section of the screen. Um, and then in order to have the study actually receive these events, you need to set receive pointer events to one of these constants. And you probably, if you want it to be able to always be on, you probably want to set receive pointer events to this constant right here. ACS receive pointer event always. So let's copy that and then put that over here. And this is probably what you want to be setting receive pointer events as. So instead of setting it to 1 there, maybe set it to this. Okay. Now what do we do? If we have it set to always, the events will be received by the study function, whether or not any control bar is toggled on, and that's probably what we want. These events are passed when you are on a pointer, chart values, or hand tool. In other words, if you're on some other type of drawing tool, your study will not receive those. Unless you set it to receive pointer events always for all tools. So maybe you do want this one. Let's copy this one and put it here as well, because this might be another one that you might want to set it at. Regardless of what tool you're on, you're going to receive the pointer events for that. Additionally, you won't receive them when you're adjusting the size of a chart. Okay, fair enough. Once a particular study, it will once basically the conditions are met for the above, you're going to start receiving mouse event messages essentially to your study. So the study function instance will be called upon an event, and the SC pointer event type will be set with a particular constant, which is going to be represented by the mouse down, mouse up, or the pointer move. So this is the next thing that you're going to want to watch for in your main code. You want to see if it's click up, click down, or click move. So you might want to watch for this. And then what happens? This is for doing menus. And then, okay, pointer location. So you have two axes, right? Let's do this. Actually, let me put this one over here because that'll make more sense. So as your y-axis, this is going to be prices, usually. I don't know why I made that all caps. This is going to be prices. As your x-axis, this is going to be bar index, right? So this is going to be from the left side of your chart from 0 to sc.array size minus 1. And then this is going to be the price of your instrument. So if we're looking at ES, so, 4,600 or something, like right there. So this guy, active tool index, indicates the chart bar index the pointer is hovering over. So let's reread that again. This indicates the chart bar index that the pointer is hovering over. So if we use this active tool index, and let's say our mouse is right, I don't know, right here. Let's say that's where our mouse is. And let's say this is bar index, um, 100, active tool index is going to be equal to 100. Actually, I should make that the other way. This is going to be set to 100 if your mouse is right here. So you can use this in your code to determine this value of what bar index you're at. And that's useful because then you can look up data for this given bar, right? So if this is, let me make this transparent. If this is a bar and your mouse hovers, moves from over here, over here, over here, and right there, your code is detecting that you're on bar index 100, and you can look up data for this bar index and then say like, oh, the high is here, or the open is here, or the volume on this bar was this. Or in my case, for that market depth study, I looked up what the market depth was for this particular bar index. And then I also included the y-axis, which is going to be a different active tool y value indicates the coordinate of the pointer position. So this guy does not equal the price. This is not equal to the price. This is equal to the y coordinate in pixels of the price where the cursor exists at. So if your mouse is down here, then you're at 45.99 or something. And if your mouse cursor is up here, then you're at 4600. But this is not the value of the price scale. This is the value of the y coordinate in pixels. So you have to do some conversion here in order to, if you want to get a price out of that, you have to do some conversion in order to accomplish that. Next, the active tool index and y value are updated with pointer movements and with click operations. They're updated with the last movement or operation received. So using those two things, now we can go explore, well, how do we convert this to a price? Like if we want to know, or actually, Ahmed, why don't you tell me what are you trying to get? What information are you trying to get out from when you move your mouse cursor? So you have your mouse cursor, you're moving it around. What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get from moving your mouse around? And while he's typing, did anybody check if the audio is good? You're trying to get price. Okay, so we want to convert this event message, essentially, which is going to be in the format of a pixel coordinate on the screen, to a price. So let's go ahead and look at how we do that. I don't actually remember. I've done this a few times, but I don't actually remember. Let's go look at the documentation for active Y value. Active Y value is the Y-axis value in the chart region. Oh, I'm sorry, I completely misrepresented that. This is not the pixel position. It's the actual chart region value. My bad. I got it backwards. I must have had to convert it to a Y coordinate. So I'm sorry. This is the actual price value. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, the whatever I said 5 minutes ago is wrong. This is not this. This is this. This is the float value. This is the actual price. So all you have to do, Ahmed, is turn on receive pointer events to one of these two. Then make sure that's in your SC defaults, because you need to have this. You want this on straight away. I guess you could put it lower down, but then it's going to be called on every single call, which is pointless. It's like inefficient. But then you need to, in your code, look for anytime an SC pointer event type is equal to SC pointer move, if you want to use the move type. And then you can, if this is true, if SC pointer event type is equal to pointer move, you could grab the active tool Y value, which is a float, You see this? It's a float of the price, or whatever your y-axis is. And then you could spit that out to the message log or push it into a different function for whatever functionality that you want. So if this is all you're looking for, yeah, that's all you need. You don't even need this one to figure out the x-axis if you just want the y. So does that make sense? You're welcome. I don't think that this would take that long to even code up. Let's just code it up. Sierra chart ACS source. Let's save this as coding stream, or actually, hold on. Isn't there a template in here? Yeah. Let's just make a copy of this template as coding stream 7/28/2023.cpp. And then let me just clean this up a bit. And actually, let me make this a bit larger. We'll just code this up here so that it's easier to see. We don't need any of this stuff. We just need a... So this is going to be a mouse cursor example, or actually this is going to be coding stream July 28, 2023. And then this is going to be mouse cursor location example. And the first thing we want to do is sc dot, what was that called? Receive pointer events. And I'm just going to set it to this one. So sc dot receive pointer events is equal to this. And then here, look for mouse move pointer event types. So what was that called? Pointer event type equals sc pointer move. So let me just copy that. And then sc dot pointer event type equals that. And I actually want this in a conditional. So if this happens, then look up the y-axis price value of where our mouse cursor is. And so to do that, we just need to use sc active tool y value, this guy right here. So we'll just copy that. And we'll declare a float, and we'll just say price is equal to sc.active tool y value. And then what we'll do is we'll create a message log. We'll create sc string message and say message.format of a price. And then I'll say sc.add message to log. And Google's still on highs, my goodness, of message. And then let's go ahead and so I save that. Let's go ahead down here, pull up our build. I gotta select coding stream. Let's build it. If you don't know how to do this, if you're watching on YouTube, then go check out the other tutorials. So that built successfully. I can move this off the screen, and then we can go to Analysis, Studies, Add Custom Study, and then let's look for, oh God, where is it? Where the heck is it? What did I call this? Coding stream. There it is. Mouse cursor location example. We don't have any inputs. Let's hit OK. And okay, let me move this down. So if you can see right here, this is the name of our study, but right here is the y-axis values. You see these? Because all we're doing is printing out the raw price right here. So if I move this over to here, you can see where I am, and I'm going to go up, and you can see it moving because it's receiving pointer events from Sierra, and that's triggering the study to call. And then down, you can see it triggering down there. And it doesn't matter if I move left or right because it's not caring about what bar index I'm on. It only cares about where the Y index pointer is. So there it is. So let me just copy that. I'll just call this mouse cursor example, and then let me just paste this in here for you. There you go. You can play with that and modify it as you need. Okay. Any other questions? No? Luke, any questions? Just waiting for someone to finish typing. When you see a big order like 100,000 shares, how they get filled, and does this mean anything? Um, Let me see if I understand your question. Let me actually screenshot it so that I can have it here. When you see a big order like 100,000 shares, what do you mean by how they get filled? What do you mean by that? Like, this can occur in different equities in different ways. You can have a large print for 100,000 shares come across the level 2, or across the time and sales, I mean, and it is just a single order that was probably met with a market maker or some other large party on the other side through a broker probably, and had agreed upon price between two parties. And so it's not like there's typically for this kind of size, it depends on what the instrument is, but if you're talking about something like, I don't know, Tesla or something like a large cap, Apple, yeah. Um, it usually is not someone hitting their keyboard for 100,000 shares. When you're trading large blocks worth millions of dollars, it's usually through a broker who is finding a party to take the other side of that trade or a market maker taking the other side of that trade. So you'll see those kinds of prints happen in one print, in one execution. And how do they get filled? Well, it depends. Usually, again, it's through a broker that those are happening. And what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything without context, in my opinion. It, I think it means that um, there's there's two parties who are willing to exchange that kind of quantity at that price, but does it mean if it's bullish or bearish? No, I don't. I don't think that means. Yeah, I don't think you can extract any kind of meaning solely from that. I think what's missing is the context. I think what you need is context first, and then when you see that, to see if it adds or removes from your context. So, like for example, if we had a situation where Apple was coming down and into a big whole number, and oh, he just left mid explanation. Okay. well, I'll finish my thought for those on YouTube, but if you have a large cap or something coming down into a whole number, I don't know, it's just like a little dipped in the middle of the answer. If you have a large cap coming down into a whole number or some large significant level, you will sometimes have large institutional orders, like large size, sitting in there and sitting on the book in there, or else agreed upon transaction down there. And what could that mean at that level? Well, it could mean that they're defending that level. It could mean that they're going to start. So if they're defending that level and we came down in there, then that would be a bullish indication, right? If that was the case. But without that context, it doesn't mean anything. If it's coming down here and staying here and then starts dropping and then pops back up and then you get that 100,000, that's a completely different context. Oh, your internet went off? I was like, you just left right in the middle of the explanation, but um, well, you can. I kept going, but basically it depends on on context. If so, I was saying if Apple comes down from here to here, and this is, let's say this is a large significant level, like a whole number or 100, I don't know what Apple's at right now. Let's just say it's at 250 or 300 or something. Um, and Apple comes down into that level. It could be that they're defending that level and, price might make a rebound this way. However, if it's a situation where it comes down here to the significant level, drops out, and then pops back up to here, and then we see, that's not the right key. What the heck? And then we see that large print go off there. The context of this is completely different than the context of it happening here. Those are two different contexts entirely. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It all depends on how you interpret the context, in my opinion. Because if it happened here on this time and we can't get back above that large significant level, that could be a sign of continued selling and starting to look like this. And so you see what I'm getting at, Ahmed, with that? By itself, it doesn't mean anything. I think it's looking for large prints doesn't actually, I don't see an edge in it. I think having your own definition of context, building it, and then using large prints to add or remove to the picture that you're building. Like, let's say it's, actually, I think we just had this morning in Meta. I think we just had this morning in Meta. What was it in Meta? It was something like this. There was a large level, and we were coming up to it, and then there was this large level. We were coming up to it, and then we just chopped around here, and then there was a very large set of orders that came off right here at this level, and then we shot up through it. And what does that context tell me? Well, that tells me that there was supply here at this large level. There was a set of institutional sellers who were sitting here with size that wasn't shown on the book. They weren't advertising it, but clearly they had supply here, and somebody cleared them. Somebody took all that and cleared out that supply, and then it bust through and continued to do volume. It actually did come back here, and then took off again. So again, the large print by itself, I don't even know what to do with that. It really depends on what the context is surrounding that. And I don't think that it's just local to what was happening that day. I was taking into the context of what happened yesterday. Yesterday was day of earnings, or the day after earnings. Release was in the afternoon on the day prior to that, but it was basically the first day of earnings, and we had profit taking in Meta. And then after that profit taking, we didn't actually close the gap or give it all back. We actually held up pretty decently, and then we drove higher this morning. So on day two of the earnings play, we started driving up higher after holding our gap. So that is context. That's significant context. We drive up higher, we hit a level of supply, we sit around there, chop around it, and then we bust through with large orders being taken. That's some hungry hippo over there taking all that and saying, yes, I'll have more, please. Context. Context is king. Cha says one other thing to add my 2 cents. To interpret it, you need to keep track of options volume. If someone takes huge options positions um, in that underlying, then the market maker will also be needing to somehow hedge against that. That's a good point. Let me bring that in. What Cha said there as well, just as an additional comment there on that. Um, Question 3, analyzing the market for trading stocks, watch the ES or the SPX. So the SPX is the non-tradable, I believe, just index, whereas the ES is the futures contracts. I don't think it matters. I think watch whatever, I mean, you don't even have to watch either of those two. You could watch SPY or QQQ. Um, I personally have the ES up because I like to keep track for my own personal self where the ES is at. I like to know, I like to be watching it every day just to have a feeling for these levels on the ES. So that's why I watch the ES, because it's the most heavily traded futures market out there, other than, the treasuries. So that's why I prefer to watch the ES. I don't think it matters, Ahmed. Just choose whatever. Um, if you're using it as a thermometer, then just choose whatever. It could be ES, Qs, and Q. You could even look at the Russell if you wanted to. Luke S. I'm trying to think of how to form my question. Are you familiar with point and figure charts? I am familiar with them to the extent that I know what PNF stands for. I won't pretend to be an expert in PNF charts. What's the question though, Luke? You can jump on the mic, Luke, if you want. I don't hear you though right now. Yeah, you can jump on the mic. Just figure out what's going on with your mic. I don't hear you. Dang, look at Slim Shady's cat. Slim Trady's cat. Oh, it didn't copy. Oh no, why doesn't it? Boom. There we go. Look at that. I don't know why my mic isn't working. 1 second. I wish my cat were that compliant. Yeah, they definitely do prefer to sit on the keyboard. Luke, if you want, you could just type it out if it'll be faster. That's fine. Got someone typing here. And if we have other questions, let's get those in the queue, and otherwise we'll wrap it up after Luke's question here.
Hey, Frozen, I'm doing my story late.
Hey, Morphus. Okay,
I had a phone
Luke,
call.
you could you make a super quick PNF chart of NQ, put it at 1 and 32, and pull up the point and figure box count study? I can try. I don't really know what that means, but okay, let's go NQ U23 first of all, and then you want me to make this a point and figure, so I'll go to bar period, I'll go to here, and then do you want point and figure bars or XO? Okay, bars, here's okay. What time or what interval did you want these on? What did you say? 132. Do you want it set at time-based or rotation-based or what? What type of like you want reversal bars? You want what do you mean by 132? I'm assuming you don't mean 1 minute and 32 seconds. Oh, but this one. Got it. Okay. So you want 1-32. Okay. So there's that. Okay. We have this. And then what did you want me to add on here? A point and figure box count study. A point and figure box count. Okay. All right. So this is the measure, this is the range of each bar. Okay. Including the pullback because it's a reversal bar based. Sure, bar period. Okay. Interested to know where this is going to go. Every number is positive, but you want a down move to be negative. Okay. I mean, I think that the easiest way would be not to use a pre-built, um, not to use a pre-built. I don't even know what the option input settings are here. Yeah, don't use a pre-built study, but build your own. And all you would need to do is iterate over the bars that you see, and then for each of those bars, you would just need to take the um, the range of the bar and then see if it's an up bar or a down bar. And if it's an up bar, then you would put the range as a positive, and if it's a down bar, you'd put it as a negative. So if we, where's my Vim? If we do this and make another study here, and we'll call this one PNF box count, and I'll call this PNF box count study. We don't need any mouse moving or anything, but I will create a debug object here. And you can ignore this thing down here. That's from the study we were working on earlier today for Ahmed. But so basically what you want to do is you want to start on the left side and go to the right. So we could just iterate over all of the bars. We could iterate over all the bars in the chart. So for integer I equals 0, starting at the first bar on the chart, and while I is less than sc.array size, increment I. So basically, iterate through every bar on the chart. There's options for making this more performant later. And so we are going to grab, so this is the bar index that is represented here. And then for each of those, we want to grab the range of that bar. And so the range of the bar is going to be a floating value. So it's going to be float range, and that's going to be equal to the high minus the low. That's the range of that bar. So let's do that. Let's do sc.high of I, because this I is representative of which bar index we're on. It's going to increment as we make our way through. sc.high of I, and subtract from that sc.low of I, and that's going to give us the range. And Windows did not find any threats. Good. That's the range, but that's not all that we need. We also need the whether the bar is up or down bar, and we can actually do that with either an integer or a Boolean, but I think I might do it with an integer, and I'll just call it up, or I'll call it direction. And we'll make direction equal to 1 if it's an up bar, and we'll make direction equal to -1 if it's a down bar. So up bar direction is 1, and down bar direction is -1. So if the sc.open is less than, or I'll start with the close. If the sc.close is greater than of I is greater than sc.open of I, then direction is equal to 1. Else if sc.close of I is less than sc.open of I, then direction is equal to -1. And this case, else, is open and close are identical. So I don't know what you want to do in this situation, if you want to count that as an up or a down. If the range of the bar, let's say the bar was 40 points in range, but it ended up opening and closing at the same exact price. Do you want it to be pointing up, or do you want it to be pointing down, or do you want it to do nothing? So this is to be determined based on how you want it to actually, behave in that instance. So now that we have that, then we actually need to do something with that. We need to actually populate a subgraph which will draw these values out for each bar index. So let's go up here, and we'll go before our default section, and we'll indicate some subgraphs. And oh gosh, is it sc subgraph ref? Or is it just subgraph ref? I don't remember. I think it's sc subgraph reference. I don't remember. We'll call it PNF or something. I don't know. Equals sc.subgraph 0. And in here we'll declare the subgraph properties, including its name. So things like spnf.name is equal to range of PNF, and then there's other properties you can set, like the colors and the style of subgraph. We're going to want it to be bar. I don't remember what the type is for that. We can look that up in a second. For now, we'll start just with the name. So SPNF, so basically what we want to store for each bar index inside SPNF is the range multiplied by that direction. Because if it's a negative, it'll make it -1, and -1 times any form of range is going to be the negative version of that. So let's store into subgraph the range done on this bar and direction. And then what we can do is say SPNF for bar I, which we're iterating through here, is equal to the value of direction multiplied by range. And that's going to store that into each and every single one of those bar indices. So let's start off with this, compiling this, and let's see where we get Microsoft's on highs. So let's go ahead and hit our coding stream. We'll go to build. Are you following along, Luke? That built successfully. Now I'm going to go to studies, add custom study. Where is my July coding stream? PNF box count, and hit OK. Okay, so there is our, and so what is this one at? This one's at like 157, and what is this at? 35. So something is off. Let's go ahead and go into the subgraph. There's our subgraph that we created right here, that we're populating right here. And instead of a line, let's go ahead and turn it into bar, and I'll apply that. Let me move this over a little bit so that we can see it. Let's make it a couple more, and let's take it based on plus minus, and I'll make this something deeper red, like that. Maybe even a bit darker, just so that it's, there we go. Hey, Loopy. So there is the base of what we have. Now let's try to figure out why on earth is this so wrong? Like the shape looks correct, right? Like this on this PNF box count is a pretty big one, and so is here, same here and here. This one's negative to this one. This one's here. I mean, this looks pretty close, but the scale is completely off. So let's take a look. This bar, this huge bar, goes from 783 to approximately 822. So what is that? 22 and then another 27. So 50 something. And this is at 35. And this is at 161. So I don't even understand how this is possible. Why is this at 161? Does anybody know why this would be at 161 for this? Because, I mean, this also doesn't seem right, but that just seems odd. Does anybody know? I wonder, can we put, we can probably put these on the same subgraph and see them right next to each other. Ooh, look at that. So yeah, these are, it's interesting to see them overlaid like this. Look at PNF description. Yeah, it might just be that I'm not properly understanding what this study is trying to do, this box count. But Luke, if you do and you understand what this is giving you and what the difference is, chime in. But otherwise, that's how I would do it code-wise to build out a subgraph like that. Luke either fell asleep during my description of what was going on, or something else. Maybe he lost internet too. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Been going over an hour, I think.
Sorry for this. Did you talk about your time and cell indicator yet? Or?
No, I have not. I'm still working on it. I have not talked about it. I can pull it up here. I actually have never run it on NQ, so this will be cool to see. Let's add it.
That's great, man.
Time tape on chart. Those are the inputs that I have so far. So you can see I have two different degrees of large prints to be able to identify. I just call them large and huge. So large prints would be anything over 2,500 shares, and then huge prints would be anything over 10,000 shares, which won't trigger on NQ, but we can switch to stocks as well. And then number of prints to display on the tape at one time, and then number of pinned prints, which is like the ones that are remembered, is limited at 5. Keep those large prints, those large trade indicators around for 10 seconds. Font size, moving offsets around, and then colors for all of this. And it looks like that. That's it right there. So if we move, let me make this a little bit smaller just so that we have more room. One of the interesting things with this is that on futures, there's, especially on ES and NQ, as you can see as well, the spread is one tick. So these executions are always happening on the bid or on the ask. Now look at what happens if I switch to Tesla. You see these gray prints? Because those are happening in between the spread. So there are still executions happening on the bid and the ask. Also, I'm dividing the volume on equities by 100. So like a 1 means 100 shares, and 4 means 400 shares, and 10 means 1,000 shares, so that it's looking like my Lightspeed setup. But you can see that and there you go. There's a 2,500 share, and you can see it's remembered down here. Because again, 2,500 is the large, and there's a 4,400, which is a huge size. And you can make them different colors. You can customize it, but that's what it's remembering. And after 10 seconds, and see, there's the 2,700 and a 4,000. And so here they are coming in and being remembered for 10 seconds. And as 10 seconds elapses, you'll see this 2,700 disappear in a couple of seconds here as there goes, and then the 4,000 will disappear, and then the 3,000 will disappear, and then the 3,600 will disappear.
Cool. I was going to mention one thing to you about this. Where's the source coming from, the data, the feed? Is it coming from time and sale itself?
Yes, yes, I'm using time and sales. I am not using the intraday. I am not using the intraday. What is it called? Yeah, the intraday file I'm not using because I did not want to deal with high volume throughput and file lock situations. So
Right.
I am using the internal. I don't know what the actual data structure is inside of Sierra for this, but it's essentially a queue of this data, and I'm using that. So I'm using memory rather than
Written
disk.
files.
Yeah, rather than disk, just for performance wise. And I've been running it for a couple days now, almost a week now, and performance is good. So it's keeping up, it's doing everything that I want, and just having this pop up here, I mean, you can see.
Looking good.
Yeah.
But do you combine? Do you combine the orders?
Mm-mm.
Because there's an option inside time and sell. You can combine it. You can do it like normal, like single each trade. Do you
Yeah,
done that
so
on
I think that's
ES?
only for futures. Yeah. So if you look at the documentation for combined, hold on.
Yeah, I meant, do you use combine, or what do you use to
I
build
still
it
have
out?
this cat up here. I should leave the cat up there. That's first of all, that's a really cool looking cat. But let's find the. Hold on a second. I think I have it up here. Yeah. Look at this. There's something in here about combined. No, time and sales. Combined. Okay, so this section right here, Morphus, is what I was referring to. There are combined feeds or combined bundled trades, but they're only pertinent to CME symbols, so it wouldn't even be affected on my equities that I'm mainly looking at. But yes, you can look at other properties that come over the time and sales feed inside that structure that Sierra provides us, and you can see whether or not those trades are bundled and do other things with them. I have not played with that.
But you defaulted to no combine, yeah?
I don't need to do anything because the equity side isn't combined. It's only for CME symbols, so it'd only be
Okay,
for
okay.
like um so I don't know what I have Tesla on a point and figure chart. Hold on. Let me turn this back to um
Time.
I'll just turn this to like candlesticks or something.
Is it possible to put an option to change what kind of data you want to get?
What do you mean?
Because if you open time and sell, maybe you will know it more if you open one time and sell of this chart. It's under chart.
Thank you. Is it?
Open time and sell window. Yeah, you just missed it. Go back
Oh,
to
it's
chart.
it's no, it's under file. It's right here.
Oh, it's
It's
the
under
same. Okay, we're still
yeah,
in two places.
yeah.
So if you go to settings,
Settings.
you see that at the top, do not combine or same price
Ah.
and same. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I think this is just futures related. I think this is
Uh,
just futures related.
so I think it's default as default is do not combine. I think.
Yeah.
Mm. Because some traders they're not gonna want to look at one lot only in future. You see what I mean? I
What
normally
I
do
mean,
five to ten.
you could code around that here. I mean, I that's part of the reason why I added those inputs. Like, I don't care about remembering large prints that are less than this size. You could
Mm.
also attack it from the code side and just filter out everything that is less than whatever X, size that you're looking for. If you only want it to print like a filtered, I mean, I could add that option, but it's really just a simple if statement. If the volume on the next time and sales record is greater than whatever your filter setting is at, then allow it to
Mm.
print. Otherwise, don't allow it to print. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but
It
so
is great. Yeah, I like it. It's so cool. You can resize the font as well. You put it more a little bit.
Yeah, I put in so the font size and all that stuff is built in here. So if I
Ah,
make it
great.
size 50 font, you can
Oh, that's too much.
you can do all you want with it. So this is using GDI, Windows
Ah,
GDI to write or draw, I should say. But we've been working on from the Sierra side. There's a new set of features coming out for drawing tools that is going to allow us to do this type of thing along with OpenGL libraries. So it won't matter if you're running OpenGL, you'll still be able to use this. And I don't know when that's going to be released, but we've been testing it. So
currently, just like if I run down my the graphic card open, I will have that running, or is not gonna work.
no, regardless, once that is released, you'll be able to
One.
use
Okay.
either, and you'll be able to use one charting or one set of drawing functions in the code to draw to either GDI or OpenGL, depending on what the
Okay.
user has enabled. So,
That's
uh,
cool.
yeah,
That's
it
cool.
is
Fix a
it is
lot of
neat.
issues.
Ahmed asks, "What is this?" And he is pointing to. Let me copy this picture here. He is weird. It's not letting me copy. There we go. Images. There we go. So he's referring to these, which are my first attempt at iceberg detectors, which is basically um, I saw 3 prints go off at 14 cents for a total size of 2,600 shares that were not advertised on the book. So this is a set of hidden orders, 3 orders that
Dark pool,
executed
yeah.
for 2,600. It doesn't have to be dark pool. You can send hidden order types through non-dark pool routes. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it has to be dark pool. But that's what this is looking for, Ahmed. It is looking for um, repeating prints for large cumulative size at one repeating price without that size being advertised on the book. Otherwise known as an iceberg. And we've had a couple conversations last week, and the week before about, icebergs and whether it's worth trying to implement that or look at that, whether there's an edge in that. And I think the recap of that whole conversation is it's all about context. So an iceberg by itself, it's kind of like how you were asking earlier, if I have a 100,000 share order go off, what does that mean? How do I interpret that? Well, it doesn't really mean anything by itself. It's about context. Um, as we see a couple of large lots go off here in Tesla at that range. So okay, sorry, keyboard stopped working. Oh, that sucks. Can't explain on the mic, so without the mic, so I'll try next time. Okay. Loopy asks if you have time, are there advantages to coding with manual looping versus auto looping? Yes. That's a good question. I think we covered it a couple of weeks ago, but it's a very important question, so I'll put it here. I just like looking at this. I just think it's cool to see it go. But I can't really use it in the same way. I can't like stare at this because I'm so used to having my level 2 that in Lightspeed that I just looking at the tape isn't enough for me. Like I realized that I rely a lot more on my Lightspeed setup. I'm just used to it after so many decades. And then Cha asks, the equities feed doesn't have a flag to indicate which exchange as far as I know, so I don't think they could combine trades based on that. Equities feed is still a work in progress. Yeah, the equities feed has changed quite a bit recently because of the move from bar charts feed over to the CTA feed from the different oh god, I forgot what the acronym is, but basically these trade aggregation services that are national and combine all of the market's just ripping. Forgot what I was gonna say. But I don't remember seeing an exchange in there. You know what we can do? We can check. Let's split this and open SierraChart.h. I think, what is the structure called? S time and sales? Time and sales? I wonder if it's in SC structures. Okay, here it is. Here it is. So these are the various, so for those of you who are wondering what can you get from this feed, this is the data structure right here. And let me just make it a little bit easier to read. This is the data structure here that will be passed back when you grab that and fetch that time and sales array. So the things that you have available to you are the date and time of the execution, the price, the volume, what the current bid price was at the time of the execution, what the current ask price was at the time of the execution, the size of those bid and asks that we just referred to, a sequence number, which is essentially making sure that you're not out of order when you're reading through, like it makes things sequential. The unbundled trade indicator, which we just talked about a few moments ago and showed the documentation for, and then bid ask depth, and I'm not sure what trade indicator is for. I don't know what that's for. Trade indicator. Let's hold on a second. Let me look. Trade indicator. Nope, that's the unbundled trade indicator. That's the only reference to it. I'm not sure what that trade indicator's for. I'll ask about that. But no, it does not look like we have a venue accessible to us. I'll ask about that as well to see if the venue. But honestly, these shops nowadays, and we had this back in the day as well, so this is nothing new. These shops and platforms, and you can even do this through Lightspeed. You can set up, I forgot what they're called. It's this order type where you can flash to multiple different exchanges a single order to have it execute on whatever the best route is, depending on how you define best. And you could potentially have like 1,000 shares execute over 10 different routes if that's the best route. So it does not have to be through any one any one route or exchange that you execute through. But going back to Loopy's question, Advantages to coding manual looping over auto looping. So manual looping is this is what I always use. I never use auto looping because auto looping attempts to determine what bar indexes need, or indices, whatever the proper version is, what bar indices need to be iterated over. And manual looping is I determine what I want to loop over. That's the basic way to describe it. So with auto looping, it will try to figure out how far it needs to go back to in order to loop over the data that it thinks that you are trying to loop over and calculate. I don't like that that level of indecision in terms of what I want to be examining. I specify every single time exactly what I want to loop over. So I always have auto looping off. I think it's off by default. You can turn it on by setting a simple, I think it's like sc.autoloop equals 1, and you can turn it on. But when I do stuff like for I equals 0, I is less than array size, that's me saying I want to explicitly loop just over this. So if when would you want to use auto looping? I guess if you're a beginner learning to code and for some reason, you're not getting the results that you're wanting in the data, you can try to turn this on, but you might get unexpected results. I would highly encourage you to take the time and figure out exactly what data you are trying to be looping over and doing it that way, and just control your loops yourself. Don't let the software control your loops, because it could just be wrong. And then you'll be like trying to track down this phantom bug of like, why is it not looping over the data I thought it was? Well, it's probably because you're on auto loop. Switch it to manual loop, specify exactly where you want to loop over, what bars you want to loop over. For performance reasons, if you have a study that's leveraging auto loop and it's just taking forever, one of the things might be happening is that it thinks that it needs to load more data than it actually does. Again, manual looping, you control exactly what you loop over, so you can cut out the fat in terms of unnecessary CPU cycles for calculations that may not need to be done. Like one of the tricks for performance that I use on a regular basis is, instead of looping like I did here from bar index 0 to the end, which could be, if this was like a 30-day chart, it could be thousands of bars, and I don't really care, is I use the index that's on the left side of the screen right here and the index on the right side of the screen, and I only loop through the visible bars, like right here, and that's it. And just loop through the visible bars. Huge performance gains, because I don't need to be fetching this bar or the one before it here or the one before that there. I don't need to be fetching any of those unless I'm viewing them. So that's my spiel on oh, there's another one. Four prints for 2,500 shares at 21 cents. Okay, let's do, it's 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. We're going for an hour and a half. Let's do one more question. You're welcome in. One more question and we'll call it. What else we got? Is that it? All right, we got someone typing. Hey, James. You're typing? Sure, type it out. Type it out. While he's typing, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the market. Just look through everything. Tesla continuing to drive higher. Roku is very impressive. Nice move on AMD. Just everything straight up. What a beast move on Meta. My goodness, look at that. What a move. Wow. Nvidia choppy. Microsoft. Just everything risk on right now. Google. Even these Chinese stocks, BABA up 4 or 5%. Even this completely garbage trash company, Carvana, up 5%. These guys had earnings today, and they were down like 20%, or maybe it wasn't 20%, but they're still holding up. Coin. Okay, we got a question, our last question from James. Let's grab a screenshot and post it. Also, we had another, just remembered this, we had another guy come in, a fake account, a scam account called, what was he called? He was called Frozen Fundra. Fundra. Not Tundra, but Fundra. So, if you get messages from this clown, that is not me. So let me put a big X through this.
I think if someone send me messages that says you from different server, I will have to pick your hash number.
Yeah.
That will identify you.
The other thing you can look at is the join date.
Yeah, he just joined.
He just joined. He just joined a couple of days ago. So just a heads up. But James is saying, I want to be able to have yesterday's V-WAP launching from open and continuously plotting with this deviation bands across today. I have yet to find a good V-WAP in Sierra that does this. Wait a minute, weren't we just looking at one? It was called, what was that one Ahmed was looking at? We just looked at this. Anchored V-WAP. Yeah, Anchor V-WAP. Would that work for you, James? ECI does not do it.
Can I be on voice? Is that okay?
Yeah. Hey, man.
Oh, okay. This is 1,000 times easier. Okay.
Oh, yeah, please.
So the thing with ECI, it launches a 2-day VWAP and it resets every 2 days, right? So you want to be able to launch yesterday's VWAP and have that continuously plotting forward no matter how many days it's calculating. It could be yesterday's VWAP of last Thursday, but it's still plotting forward if you don't change it. You know what I mean? Here's an example image of that. This is just previous day's VWAP. So this always launches off of yesterday. So if we go on to tomorrow and we open up, this will launch a new VWAP off of today, which will be tomorrow's yesterday, right? So it's always 1 day behind. And I just haven't found a good.
Let me go get another cup of coffee to understand what the hell you just said. Yeah, tomorrow's yesterday will be.
Sorry, that was confusing. I need a VWAP that always launches from yesterday, and I have not found a good one that does it in Sierra yet.
Huh.
And I just don't know how to personally change the time code on the existing VWAP code to where if a day VWAP is chosen, that it just always launches off of 1 day ago. That's it.
Where is the VWAP? I've never used VWAP. Where is the VWAP study?
I shared the code above in a note file.
Oh, it's not in here? It's not in here
Uh,
as volume weighted.
Oh, it should. Yeah, it'll be in the Yeah, it'll be in the studies file. I think it's in like studies.
Oh, there it
Oh
is.
gosh,
This guy.
studies 8.
Oh, what is rolling?
So rolling is similar, but it's different. I don't know how. I don't. Hold on.
You
Okay,
want to,
variable offset instead of date and time. Yeah. So I just need a date and time offset that always sets 1 day ago.
and this has an offset, but it's,
So this chooses the stock Sierra. You can choose day type, week type, or month. And so I just want to basically change the input for day to where if you choose day, it's just 1 day ago. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Let's look at the code. Where did you get the code for it?
It's in the stock studies file in Sierra in your data files.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's pop this open and see. Oh, it's a text file. Hold on a second. Let's save this
You need
as
to share it in
backup.
CPP.
Nah, I'll just rename it.
Okay.
And then format it to remove the blanks.
I'm always
So,
streaming when you're doing your coding session, so I never actually get to come in and ask questions on these. And I think because the timing just never matches, and I was actually able to catch this one today, so I was like, oh man, I have a second to ask him.
it's Christmas came early.
Yeah.
So I'm completely unfamiliar with V-WAP and this study, but let me just see if this lines up. So our inputs are where? Right here. Input data matches to that. Volume type to use is, whoa, why did they skip? They went 0, where's 1 and 2? Completely gone. And then it goes 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Ignoring that. But this one
Sure.
right here, time period type, I'm curious where this is being used. This is input number 4. Input number 4, time period type is this. Let's see where this variable is used. Time period type is set to 1, and then these are version things. Wait a minute.
Let me just double check and make sure. I'm going to open up my Sierra data files and make sure that I shared the right one. I have multiple
Where is
copies.
this? This doesn't even get used in here. If version is less than 2, then do this. If version is less than 3, then do that. But I don't even see this variable or this input reference get used anywhere. I guess it's setting this. Does this get used elsewhere? Nope. Is it based off of the version? Does that get used somewhere? Nope. Wow, they don't even use these, as far as I can see, they're not using these variables unless they do a reference to the index without using this input ref somewhere. So let's check for sc.input. Lower down. No, they're not. So how is that possible? That's really confusing. I wonder if this is the wrong file or if this doesn't have everything, because this does not make any sense.
Hold on just a second, I'm looking.
This does not make any sense. Or is it calling some other... Wait, is it calling a built-in V-WAP function? What is this? Volume weighted average price. No, that's being cumulative volume. So for that, current price. Yeah, double check that this is the correct.
I'm pulling it right out of my data file right now.
You said that it's in the what directory?
It's in ACS source and it's studies3.cpp. At least it is on my version. I'm copying and pasting what this is.
Which one is it called? Which study? Volume weighted average price. This guy right here.
Hold on, I gotta find your screen. Shit, where'd it go? Too much on my monitor, sorry.
Input
Yep, that's
data.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Input time period type. Let's check this. Display order time period type. Here's that again. Aha, this one is used in the code. Okay, so this one is used
Sorry.
in the code. So let's take a look at what this is doing. If we are ignoring or not ignoring, in other words, we are using the time period type and length, then the period start date time is equal to get start of period for date time of the SC index that we are currently on and this guy. So it's right here, James.
Okay.
Let's do a search on the ACSIL documentation for get start of period date time and what that takes, because I'm not familiar with that off the bat. Okay, love the cat.
Okay.
Let's go to ACSIL functions, which I have bookmarked, and I'm going to do a search for get start of period for date time, because this is what's doing the actual thing
Time
that
length.
function. Yeah. So let's take a look. It is, well, what's the description say? This function gets the beginning of a time period of a length specified by this and this for a given date time. Great. So it takes a date time object, which it is taking the current bar's index says date time. It's taking a time period type, which is this, which is days, I believe. Yep, days. Okay. And then it is taking time period length, which is this, 1.
Right.
And then it
So you
takes
need
a
to be able to
period
type.
offset. This function takes a period offset,
Okay.
which is
So
not,
that was the question.
it's not
That
here.
was the question. That was the question I had. So in volume profile, in volume by price, you're able to use the function reference in periods back. And if we could use that in this and just reference -1 period back, we would be able to set it to prior day's VWAP at all times.
Yeah.
So that was
I mean,
my
look,
thing.
this argument is hard-coded to 0.
Right.
So all we need to do is go up to, oh crap, where was the beginning of the function? I forgot that we're in a, all we need to do here is go in here,
Okay.
and you're gonna have to add another input, but it's gonna have to be at the very bottom. But basically, it's gonna be this, input time period offset, and it's gonna be input 16. And then here where we describe these, I'm going to add another one, and I'm calling it an input time period offset. Oops. And then I'm going to call this time period offset. And then I am going to set this as an integer. To 0. But then here, I'm going to put input time period offset dot get integer. Oh, I don't know if we need to do it for this line either.
Oh
But,
man, you are so fast. I'm behind. I'm trying to type it and do the same stuff.
oh, I'm
Are
gonna
you?
send this to you. I'm gonna send this
Oh,
to you.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna send this to you. I don't even know if this will work, but I'm gonna
okay.
I'm gonna grab this from the studies 3, and I'm actually gonna copy it over to my coding stream file
Okay, okay.
here. Let me close this, and then we'll move the PNF box stuff down, and then we'll paste that in, and this is called volume weighted average price. So let's go ahead and save this. We can close this. Let's close this. Let's take this off of this chart. We'll hit this. Let's compile our code. And then let's go ahead and add a custom study for coding stream, volume weighted average price. Time period offset is right there.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm going to leave it at 0 first, just to see it work. So there it is at 0. I don't know what you want me to test this on to make it know if.
I
Let me.
trade ES and CL, but it should just be able to read whatever the stock time frame is.
Here's ES, 5-minute ES, or do you want
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 30-minute or something?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't
10
matter.
minute. Here's a
Whatever.
10-minute. So
As
there's
long as
the.
it starts at 1800, right?
I don't think I have my session times starting at 1800, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to move this to 1, and let's see what happens.
Okay, so that's saying so +1 would be start tomorrow, so we need to go -1, right?
I thought it would be going back 1 personally. I thought
Oh, really?
negative. Yeah, I thought it would be going back 1. I wonder if it's because I don't have enough data in the chart. So hold on a second. Let me make, because I think I only have 3 days worth of data. Let me try making it 5 days worth of data, just so that this goes back to 723. And then let's modify this again. Let's see if that changes anything. That did that. That's weird. I wonder if it is a time-based thing. What if I do 2? What happens then? Nothing. And then what if I do -1? Okay. So plot thickens. Let's see here. So what is next? Where was that guy? Time period. Length. Wait, where's my offset?
All
Hold
right.
on a second. Where's my offset?
The bottom, 16.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Time period offset. Da 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 da. I wonder. Let me make. Oops. Let me make this a little bit larger. Prior current period start date time. Oh, maybe I need to do this as well here. So let me put that there and then rebuild and see what happens. Because I didn't adjust that same line. That did nothing. I wonder if I need to remove it from the chart. I wonder if it like. There's that. And then let's set this to 1. No change.
Yeah, it's such a pain. I don't know why it's so hard. And Sierra, in TradingView, in Pine, all we have to do is I basically do a calculation for a date condition, right? I calculate, I say what a day is through milliseconds, and then I just use an input offset, and that's it. Right? And I literally just subtract it from the current index, but it seems harder to
Let's
do
see
it.
what this is doing. So current period start date time, prior current period start date time. And then what is it using these for? Let's take a look. This is used restart at the start of a new period. So if we are refreshing the entire chart or the current start time is, so these two are different, or if we excluded based on date time, okay, where else is this used? That's the only 3 period parts where it's used. If we are, so this is just a restart, otherwise we are adding the last value in, okay? And then where is this used? Just those 3 places. Interesting. And then where else is this used? Nowhere else. And this is only used in those 3 places, which means that all of the magic is happening basically right here. Although that's surprising. For this is adding volume. cumulative volume. But then what is this part doing? Oh, this is a different type of, this is if based on underlying data. Yes, no. Do you have this on or off? Based on underlying data?
I think it's off.
Based on underlying data is off. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that off, so we don't go into this section at all. If it's off, then add to, so it's basically adding more V-WAP information to these arrays. Okay. Okay. And then what is this section doing? This is like the final calculations of what the actual V-WAP are based off of all the aggregates that we've collected so far. So if that's what that's doing, price times volume, then it's plotting it to the subgraph, and that's it. I mean, that's, oh, and then these are the bands. So this is the various deviations, right? So at this point already down here, we should have already had our, yeah, and then this is just plotting the bands. I love how there's no comments on anything.
Yeah, right.
It makes it really easy to do. Okay, so so that's probably why this couldn't work. Is because this is using the current index for this one, but then and trying to determine where the start of a day is. This is trying to determine where the start of a day is, I think. And it's basically saying if the bar before this belongs to a different day, then do something or don't do something. And then we go ahead and move this back one day, which means that these two will never get hit, which is why that happened. So what does that mean? It's almost like we have to calculate this after we get this. It's almost like we need to use it. I almost wonder if we need to feed this value into this right here to determine if that's a different date time, or go one back from there. Trying to think of how to tackle this one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can usually cobble my way through Sierra code, and I have been stumped on this one. I just keep going back to that, the function that volume profile uses and the reference end periods back, and just that's the only thing I can find in the ACSIL stuff that is even close.
What we really need is the index before whatever this gets equivalent to, and then that's what we need to feed into this spot right there. How do I get the index of a date time? There's a function for this.
Couldn't we build an array and store the values of the prior index and then just call that array?
I don't want to even get into that because it's already doing all that stuff. I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll get the containing index for this using this function. What does it take? A chart number and then the date time. Yeah, I'll get the containing index and then just subtract 1. So let me just take this and then current period index is equal to this current period start date time for chart of whatever sc.chart number is. And then we'll take this, and instead of feeding this in here, which I'll comment out, we'll go and feed in current period index -1. So that is going to allow for that. So let's see what that does. Let's rebuild that. Okay, let's take a look. So that's at 0 now. 1, no effect. 2, no effect. -1, no effect. 10, no effect. It's just completely having no effect, so that's not the right one.
It looks like
Interesting.
it's plotting on every bar, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Time period. It's, I wonder what this is actually thinking that it's on, or if it's a session time thing. Let's do the session times once, and what did you want it to be at?
It's normally ES starts at 1800. So you can just do 1800 to 1759.59.
Okay, and I don't know if this will make any difference, but nope, nothing. I don't see any even reaction to it. Okay. Get start of period for daytime gives us the index of this current start. And I wonder if instead of doing that, we just subtract. Well, no, this should be giving us that day. Get time period offset. Let me reread the documentation. Maybe I read it wrong. What was it called? Get start of period. Get start of period. The start of a period will always be aligned to the start time in the case of intraday charts. The specified length organized in time blocks for specified length. If the specified time is 30 minutes, time will be organized in this way. Do we specify a time length?
Like time of day? No, it's just. You can, yeah, you can, but
Oh,
I
but
don't
it's
use
days.
that.
Right. It's days. Got it. Start there. North.
I wonder. Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, it's so if we have days, this should be set to 0. When set to -1, it'll return the prior block of time, which is before the block of time that this is within. It'll return +1, it'll return the next block of time. So it should be -1. You're right. It should be -1. New period at session starts. What is this for?
For evening sessions.
Interesting. Okay.
Does it do anything if you turn on evening sessions in your chart?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't make
I
any
thought
sense,
we
right?
I don't.
Oh yeah, we timed it out. Yeah,
I don't think
24
that.
hours.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's related to session times. I think it's related to. So just I know I already tried this, but okay. Looking back in here. Okay, what you do in this situation is, when in doubt, print shit out. So those are the two originals. Let me keep them up there. So the current period start date time is going to be month, day, hour, minute, versus the prior, which is month, day, hour, minute. We can get seconds as well, but I'm just going to make this easier. Current period start date time. Oh my god, that's a long one. I'm just going to say sc datetime, C is equal to current period start datetime, because it's just going to be a very long thing to write over and over. So C dot get date, C dot get, or get month, I should say. C dot get date, C dot get hour, and then C dot get minute. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with the prior. I just call it P, and this is going to be the prior current period start datetime, and then this is going to be P dot, well, it's actually going to be all of these over again. But instead of C, we want P. And then we want to terminate this and then say add message to log, and I just want to see what it thinks it's actually doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's actually doing. Let's bring our message log in and see what it's actually doing here. I got a slew of errors. Get period index is not declared on line 251. Let's go to line 251, and this is not declared. Why not? It's declared right there. Oh, I misspelled it here. Prior current period. There it is. Let's go ahead and rebuild this. And then 251, we've got cur period index is not declared. Also on line 251, period index, which was, that was whatever I tried to do, but that did not work.
Right.
Let's take the original that I had and put it here. Bring it back to stock. Okay. So we got the 27th at 1800 versus the 27th at 1800. Let's try to refresh. Okay, so the 27th at 1800 versus the 27th at 1800. So that's a nice understanding of why it's drawing things like this. So then going back to here, what I want to see is what happens if I introduce this input into this right here. What's going to happen? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring in input time period offset dot get int, and then let's see what date and time it thinks it is for the current. So that did go back 1 day. So you can see it is going back 1 day right there. Before we were on the 20th, or is it? Before we were on the 27th to the 27th. Now we're on the 26th to the 27th. But because of what that second line is doing, this one right here, the prior period, now the prior period is not being brought backwards to meet this one, which it should be. And we need to, it not only needs to be brought back to this, but then go back one more bar before that. And then I'm curious what will happen. Okay, so I did have a -1 here. Let me bring this to 0 and see what happens. Okay, so I brought it to 0, and there's that. I don't see a change on the chart. Or was there a change on the chart?
Yeah,
so this,
there it goes, 727 versus 727.
Yeah, that's there, but so my lines are here, here, my bands are here, here, and here. Well, let me just try to shift this and see what happens. Maybe I just didn't catch it with my eye. Let's go -1 here.
I mean,
And
it
then,
should be a drastic change.
yeah, and it's like it's not calculating the bands. Actually, it is calculating the actual V-WAP, but not the bands. Hold on, let me go back. And also this is wrong because this should be the 26th,
Right.
which is probably why it's not calculating the bands. So I am confused by why I can't add the offset here. That doesn't make sense. I should be able to add the same offset there, and it should be able to still find the prior day. Let's try that. Okay, that's
Oh, yeah.
better. Oh,
Oh.
wait a minute. I thought we tried this already and it didn't work. Although I don't think I think those are slightly different prices than
Yeah.
before. So let
Prior
me
days VWAP, I know just from looking at it, it should be fairly below.
switch it to a 1 or a 0 and then refresh. No, it looks pretty similar to me actually. Okay, let's go back 2 days just for giggles. Let's go back -2.
Or actually, hold on, right now,
No, it's not
let's see.
changing. What
Yeah, prior days VWAP right now is like 45.96.50.
That's pretty close to there. Let me hit refresh and see what this shows. 45.96. I mean, it's
Yeah,
at
pretty
like,
close. Yeah.
it's very close, yeah. But it's not changing with us changing um, the offset. Like the offset is, let's go back to -1. And this is, I didn't see any change in the drawing.
Oh, hold on, I'm on RTH. Yeah. I'm just comparing versus
I need to look back at this code. This doesn't make sense. It's gonna, where is it get determining the indexes? This right there. This is this one.
we should be the VWAP should be starting on Wednesday at 1800 and the value is 45.96.50. So it should be launching from Wednesday evening.
I'm not
So we're
sure
yeah, we're
how.
1 day in front.
What's the date for Wednesday?
It is the 26th.
Wait a minute, wouldn't we need to also increment this to 2 since we're starting 1 day earlier?
Well, we're only calculating 1 day at a time,
But you wanted to start it not from today, but from the prior day, right?
prior
Like,
day, and then just
wouldn't
keep
wouldn't this
cumulatively adding.
be like this then? No? Because if we, let's take this back to 0, actually, as a,
In theory, you shouldn't have to change that because day is just the date. It's calculating 1 day at a time and then saying, we just want to start it 1 day ago. But I guess if you have to change that each day
oh, because you want to move forward yesterday's calculation to today without including today.
without having to reset it every day, yeah,
But
you
you
get what
don't
I'm saying.
want today's VWAP values included in the
It should,
calculations.
yeah. No, it should, yeah. That's the whole thing with VWAP. It's cumulative from launch point, so it will calculate yesterday and today. So actually, no. Now that you say that, yeah, days. It should be
It
2
should be
days
2 days then.
total,
Yeah.
and then starting 1 day ago. So let me put bands on that. Let me see my values real quick on. So +1 deviation should be roughly 46.15.25.
Well, actually, I don't know what these deviations are set at, so.
So in the subgraphs, half and 1 are turned on, we should be looking at 1 and 2. So top and those get ignored. 1 and yeah.
Oh, so 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So you want me to change this to what?
That should be 1, and then band 2 should be 2. Correct. And then we'll
Okay.
turn on band 2 in the subgraph.
These are dashes.
And you're on a 10-minute time frame, correct?
This is a 10-minute, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
Does
making
this
sure my value-
look right? I don't see those
Yeah,
values that you were providing. Because after I switch this out to 2-day, I don't see those anymore.
This
1
is
day
what
gives me this.
Those are the values for 2 days. So 2-day plus 1 deviation should be 46.15 and a quarter.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I wonder what else is different. There might be, no, session times we coordinated. Interesting. But still, it doesn't solve this question, which
What's
is
V-WAP itself right there? V-WAP itself for
right under 46, right under 4600.
Yeah, 4596.50 is what I have.
I don't think we have it as that. It's 45.99. Yeah. So there's some kind of difference either in the data between what you and I have. Either way, I don't think this offset is functioning the way that we intended it to. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to solve this one on the stream.
Yeah, no worries, man. I get it.
I'm surprised that it's this tricky. Let me take one more look here, but I'm also getting hungry and it's almost 1 p.m. So this is for a reset. This is doing this. This is doing this. Otherwise, it is. This is for adding. So the reset is doing what? Just taking start of current period. Start index of current period is whatever this is if it's a new day or it's a refresh. So at the start of a new day, it should have set that to that index. There's further steps we can take to debug this, but yeah, this is going to need probably a couple more hours just to figure out what's going on and track it through.
No worries, man. I appreciate the help. I'll
Yeah, sorry, man.
No, it's all good. You put me on the right track though with kind of what to look at as far as functions. So I'm sure I could probably, get a little deeper with it than I had. I don't know I don't know Sierra's language well enough. I know Pine, but I'm not there yet with Sierra, so it's hard kind of stumbling through. Okay, this function does what? Having to read the manual and everything. Just takes
same.
forever, so.
Same.
The
things I would look at are where I'm very curious what this is getting set to and what this is getting set to. So the next step for me would be to spit out these two values when they're getting set and all their places where they're getting set.
Cool.
It's some kind of relationship to where these indices are because it's grabbing the volume and prices from those indices. And I think it's one of those indices that is incorrectly, like it's still always looking at the 0, despite us, having provided that offset. So I think it's something to do with where this index is getting set. Where's the last? No, that's it. So I wonder if it's just, right in here where that issue is. And then this one is, and here's another one. Band calculation method, standard deviation, index minus start index plus 1. So here you go again. That is being referenced here to grab data and calculate. So for these types of things, sometimes it's better to just write your own indicator. And,
for sure.
But Anyways, guys, I am burned out.
All
We've
right,
been
buddy.
going for over 2 hours here.
Yeah,
Hungry, burned out, and ready to get on with my Friday. So sorry
awesome, man.
for
Have a
that.
good one.
Not, yeah. Sorry
No,
we
yeah,
couldn't drive it to
all good.
completion.
All good, man. I appreciate it. I should have jumped on earlier. So, all right, man. Have a good one.
You guys too. Have a good Friday. See you next week.